Hey, what's up everyone? In this video, we're going to be discussing how we can use Python to detect arithmetic sequences. Now, if you don't already know, arithmetic sequences are sequences of numbers that have a common difference. So it could be something like, let's say, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4. They all have the common difference of 1. Or it could be the common difference of 2. It could even start on a completely different number. But something like, for example, 1, 4, 5, this is not an arithmetic sequence because this has a difference of 3 and this has a difference of 1, and that's not constant. That means that it's not an arithmetic sequence. Now, this video is going to be a little different because I already coded this out, and since the code might be a little hard to explain on the go, I think it'll be better if I could walk you guys through this code step by step. So we begin by taking the input from the user sequence. So enter your sequence separated by commas and spaces. So the user would then enter their sequence of numbers. Then we have to somehow find a way to split that sequence by a comma and a space. So then we create another variable, sequence list, and this is a splitted version of the variables of sequence. And the common difference, which we're going to use later on, that's for now just none. Okay, now this is the trickier part. For number and sequence list, so sequence list, again, it's a split version of sequence, although its values are still in the string data type. It's not an integer yet, basically. So the index, we're going to make a variable of index because we're going to be using this later on, and let's just, I don't want to have to keep using this sequence list dot index num, having to type or even copy pasting that in all of these instances. That's going to be chaotic, and I think it's neater this way. So index equals a sequence list dot index num. What this means is index is basically a variable that says at what index is a number inside sequence list. So if it's like 1, so for example, if it's like 1, 2, 3, and the number is 2, then the index would be the first index, right? This is the 0th index, and this is the first index. So 1, the index, the first index. So 1 would be stored in the variable index. Then, if index is equal to 0, that means if it's the first one, then that's like the common difference that we're gonna take. So like the first instance of numbers that we see, that way common difference equals to this variable over here. I'm gonna change this value from none type to sequence list index plus 1. So we're basically indexing sequence list, which is this, and then instead of, let's say, if the index is 0, that means the element is 1. Then we're gonna subtract 2. We're gonna subtract 1 from 2. So we're gonna take 2, which is sequence list index plus 1, because sequence list index is 1. Now sequence list index plus 1, we're adding the index by 1, so we go to the right, and that's 2. And subtract that from the number itself. This may seem a little complicated, but basically what this code is trying to say is that once you have the first number in a sequence, you take the second number and basically you subtract the first one from the second, and so we know that our common difference is supposed to be 1. Now, if it's the last if it's the last number, like 3, for example, that's the last one in this example, then we can't really have a next one. Like, if this is index, then what's index 1? There is no element after that. So that's why Python's going to then give us an error saying that the list index is out of range. So then index equals, if index is the length of sequence list minus 1. That's how we're going to find out if it's the last element in the list. Because, again, let's say it has 3 elements here, right? How do we know which is the last one? Well, the length of sequence list, which is 3, so it's the 3rd element. And in Python, that means the 2nd index. Because Python starts at 0, not at 1. So we're going to have to subtract 1 to make the 3rd element the 2nd index. Now, if it's at the end and nothing bad has happened yet, then we can just safely say that it is an arithmetic sequence because it maintains the common difference, and then we can break. Else, if it's not the first or the second, then if it's like 2, for example, right? If sequence list, so the index right now is the first index. Second element, first index. And when you increase the index by 1, you get 3. So 3 minus 2. If 3 minus 2 is not 1, then you print it's not an arithmetic sequence. But it is an arithmetic sequence because 3 minus 2 is 1. So to make this more clear, maybe I'll just give another example. So 1, 2, 4. So if we this is obviously not an arithmetic sequence, and because right now the index is 1, and if the second index 4 minus 2, that's gonna be 2. And we already established that the common difference is 2 minus 1, which is 1. So the common difference up here would be 1. But when we subtract 4 from 2 here, 4, like basically 4 here, minus 2, that's not 1. That's 4 minus 2 is 2, not 1. And so if it's not the common difference, then that means that that it's not an arithmetic sequence, right? It has to be constant. So then we can just print not an arithmetic sequence, and then we can break. Now, this may seem, again, I'm just going to say this again, it probably looks complicated. Maybe to some of you it's not, but it might be complicated to others, because I guess it's very bulky to, like, the code. But aside from the names, and I mean, this is honestly, we've seen this so far in my tutorial videos, and if you haven't seen those, then I just guess that we're just reinforcing these certain concepts like index, length, for loops, logic blocks, and that kind of stuff. So essentially, what this thing we made here is trying to say is that if we keep what this is really trying to do is that we establish what a common difference is for us right now, and then we go on and on. So for example, it can even be 3. So the common difference of 1, yeah, and then we move on to the second iteration of the for loop. 2, so 2 minus 1 is 1. 3 minus 2 is 1. 4 minus 3 is 1. So 1 is that common difference, that constant one. But yeah, it's 6. 6 minus 4, that's 2. So right here, because 6, like 6 over here, minus 4, if that's not 1, because that's 2, that's when we say, nope, it's not an arithmetic sequence. And if none of this goes wrong, so that means we get until the very end, Actually, in fact, we if it like I'm sorry. For example, if it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 6, we reach all the way until 6. Because maybe let's say we added a 5 here. Okay, so this is an arithmetic sequence. 2 minus 1, 1. 3 minus 2 is 1. 4 minus 3 is 1. So on and so on. And so when we reach the end, 6 minus 5, then if nothing really goes wrong here, then at the end, just to be safe, I put an else. So I just wanted to show that you can also put an else onto a for loop. So 4, and then if it doesn't break at all, like these break statements, if they don't happen, then this else is basically saying that if nothing goes wrong, then you just, at the end, we're just going to assume that it is an arithmetic sequence. So now let's test this, and so maybe you can better visualize it. Enter your sequence separated by commas and spaces. So we can 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. That is an arithmetic sequence. But let's say it's 2, 4, 5. That's not an arithmetic sequence. And so basically what this this for loop here is supposed to go through a series of logic blocks, and what it's supposed to do is it has a variable where it basically it assumes that that 2 minus 1 is gonna be the common difference. It just assumes that it is an arithmetic sequence. Now, if anything goes wrong here, like here, then that's when it stops assuming and says, okay, this is not an arithmetic sequence. So that's the way I built. Of course, this can be built different, but I'm just showing you guys one way to do this. And yeah, I hope you learned something in this video. And I think I'm gonna make another one next week, so you can watch that. And I'm gonna keep going higher in difficulty, but I'm still gonna be explaining like these core concepts. Like you're gonna be seeing these like almost always, like else, if, and all that. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to share and like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.